Hello, I'm your host Omnea, and you're listening to A Degree Further, the official podcast of the graduate school at Hood College, where we feature current students, alumni, and faculty who are innovators on our campus and in our community. In this episode, I'm speaking with Professor Shurn and Dr. Shaine of the Neighborhood Counseling and Training Center, also known as NCTC.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Degree Further. I'm joined with two faculty members from the Hood Graduate School, specifically the counseling program. And if you guys would like to start, kind of introduce yourselves and your roles in the program and in NCTC.
Sure. So I am Dr. Megan Shaine. I am an associate professor in the Department of Counseling and Psychology. I am the program director for the Master's in Counseling program and the certificate in Thanatology. And I am also the project director of the federal grants from the Health Resources and Services Administration that allowed us to start the training clinic and also to hire Professor Shurn.
And I am Brandon Shurn. I am an adjunct faculty with Hood, but I'm also the clinic director for the Neighborhood Counseling Training Center. And as Dr. Shaine said, that's what really brought me to Hood.
So what is NCTC? And I know Professor Shurn kind of explained what the acronym stands for, but also how did it start as well?
Sure. So NCTC stands for the Neighborhood Counseling and Training Center. It is essentially a community mental health agency that is housed within the counseling program here at Hood College. It has two primary goals. The first one is to serve as a training facility for our counseling master's students. So all of the counselors providing services at NCTC are master's students, advanced master's students in counseling at Hood College. And they are all under the supervision of Professor Shurn and soon to be an additional licensed professional counselor as well. And just as to how NCTC started, actually, we have been kicking around the idea to start a training clinic within our program really since the program started. Dr. Andrew Campbell and I both went to George Washington University for our graduate work, where there is a well-established and really successful training clinic. And we really wanted to model something after that experience that we had, which we thought was really valuable in our training program. Then the second goal of NCTC is to provide accessible and affordable mental health services to both Hood College students as well as community members in the Frederick area. And because we also offer telehealth services, we can also go beyond the Frederick area and serve anybody who is in the state of Maryland via telehealth.
And I know we offer a counseling center here at Hood. So what is the difference between the counseling center and NCTC?
Well, the main difference is there's a few, but the main difference is, like Dr. Shaine said, the staff is clinical mental health counseling interns, right? So they're pre-licensed. That's one main distinction. The other distinction is that we record all of our sessions, whereas counseling services does not. Another distinctive feature is counseling services is directly concerned with serving the Hood campus, the Hood population, meaning the students that are at Hood, both undergraduate and graduate. But NCTC, while also being willing to serve the Hood campus and the students at Hood, we are more focused on being a community mental health kind of provider. So we're focusing more on community efforts. And so those are some of the main distinctions.
And Professor Shurn, you said that not only do you guys serve Hood College students, but you serve the outside community. So what interested you guys to want to serve not only the students, but the community as well?
Well, we just want to make mental health services affordable, right? If you think about the Frederick area and even up into Washington County and some areas, there's a lot of need, but not a lot of providers, right? So
Mhm.
specifically, Frederick City is identified as one of those mental health shortage areas, actually identified by HRSA. So kind of coming in and supporting and supplementing what's already available, but making it more affordable. Just quite honestly, some folks cannot afford their co-pays when they have insurance, or access to services is really limited. Wait lists abound now. COVID kind of brought to bear that there is a mental health need and need for mental health workers. And so focusing on the community while allowing counseling services to really take the forefront and be the front bearer of servicing Hood College, it just makes sense.
The community, benefits a lot from this, especially those who need access. And on the student side, a student can also be able to gain the experience as an intern working with the community. How does the center also benefit the students seeking counseling services as well?
Us as faculty members, this is such an important training tool to be able to more directly see our counseling master students in action, because prior to having a training clinic, when our students would go out on their field placement, they were placed at external sites. And depending on the regulations of the external sites, sometimes we as faculty members and supervisors at Hood would be able to view or listen to a recording of their work. But not always. A lot of times we're just relying on the reports of external site supervisors, which are wonderful and I think usually quite accurate and helpful. And we have incredible partners in the Frederick community, but nothing can replace being directly able to observe your student and really see them in action in a training facility where we know the clients, we know the population. So it's really an incredible hands-on training tool for us and for our students.
And so, what are the various services that are offered by NCTC?
We deal with a number of things: adjustment, relationship issues,
Mhm.
mild to moderate acuity on the following: depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress. And that's pretty much where we stop. And our target is really keeping those everything either 18 to 30 in that sense. So that's what we're focusing, is known as the emerging adult age, that bracket. But also some things that we're not working with is active psychosis, active suicidal ideation, any untreated uh, addiction, either food or drugs.
And how do you see the opening of the site impacting the college overall, not just the graduate school?
So it's such a good question. I really do think it has an impact for the college overall. We were just lucky enough to be interviewed by the Frederick News Post, and we had a story come out in the local paper over the weekend, and that was really exciting because it just speaks to, we're really starting to partner with and reach out to the community in general. So when we were conceptualizing the grant and writing the grant and proposing to start this clinic, we really made the argument that we were not just creating a training facility for our students, we were creating a new mental health agency, a new mental health option within the Frederick community. So for Hood, I know we really value those community partnerships, and Hood is really intertwined with the Frederick community. So I think this just makes us even more accessible to folks who might not be familiar with campus, who might not be familiar with our students. It really opens up some doors and further just familiarizes the community with the college. So that's a huge piece. I think a second benefit for the college is that it really, I think, elevates our counseling master's program to a different level. It's not required for counseling master's programs. Even KCREP accredited counseling master's programs, which are sort of like the gold standard, that's like the fancy title, right, for counseling master's programs, is not required for us to have a training clinic. That is a symbol of an institution that's really committed to training their school counseling and mental health counseling students. So I think it really elevates our master's program to another level too.
And you mentioned, the site for students, the counseling students. So obviously, not any student can apply to be an intern at the site. They'd have to be in the counseling program. So if there is a student interested in the counseling program, or a current counseling program student who's interested in the site, how would they apply and what should they know or do?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, Amnea, that it is a select group of students who are going to be applying to work at NCTC. So we do open it to practicum students in general. So any counseling student who is on practicum, if we have clients, right, if we have demand, could, if they want, try out seeing clients at NCTC. The primary staff, however, for NCTC are these folks who we call site fellows, and that's another fancy acronym. Site stands for Strength and Training Equity, and that's the name of our grant program that we received from HRSA. And so those fellows have to submit a separate application. And if they're approved to become a site fellow, first of all, they are able to receive a $10,000 stipend for their work at NCTC, as well as their external field site, which is pretty nice bonus. They also commit to taking some specialty courses within the program. One example of that is our psychopharmacology course. And they also agree to do up to 5 hours of work in the clinic as site fellows. So it is a more kind of comprehensive application. That's not a long application, but the requirement is pretty much that they're committed to serving diverse populations and populations who come from healthcare provider shortage areas, according to that federal government definition. So the application just consists of a couple of questions and a short essay question that demonstrates their commitment to do that.
And speaking of the people in the community, if someone watching right now, whether they're a current student or not, and they're interested in seeking counseling services, how should they contact you guys?
The quickest way to contact us would be using the NCTC at hood.edu email, because that's monitored by myself and Patsy, all throughout the week. The phone number is 301-696-3129. That will most likely get the person to leave a voicemail, at which we will reach out and respond and make contact that way. But the quickest way would be to shoot an email to nctc at hood.edu.
And I will link both of those, the email and the number, if anybody would like to seek these services. And as we begin to wrap up our interview, what goals do you guys have for the future of the NCTC site, and what do you guys hope to see out of the clinic?
Sky's the limit.
So many, right?
Yeah. There's so much that we are wanting to do. Just really ultimately having NCTC as the spot where all prac students go through to get their 100 hours, so that they're not stressed out about trying to find an external site, but they're also continuing to move forward in their program. And, because sometimes sites are kind of hesitant about bringing on a fresh field experience counselor. So getting them that, making sure they have they're solid in the foundations, and then allowing them to go out. So that's one thing, being able to put on groups and, all of that, the things that the community really is what I'm seeing as a shortage, those self-help groups and stuff like that. Just really, again, it's so many to list, but to the moon is
absolutely to the moon. And just, and our short-term goal is to fill up. We have the capacity to take on 64 clients per week. We have 64 sessions available, and we certainly have a good deal of availability remaining. So we encourage Hood students absolutely to reach out either to counseling services or to us or both, and determine which is the best fit for you, which has the best counselor for you, the best schedule for you, etc. We're definitely not in competition. We are two resources on campus, which is a wonderful thing. And we really encourage community members to reach out to us as well, and to give our counselor interns a chance. They have a really fresh perspective on their work. They're closer to their coursework than counselors are out in the field. So we find that they're often really creative and innovative, and also they have really close supervision from Professor Shurn, other faculty, including myself in the program. So they're also really well supported.
And I'll put down below, the email and the contact information for NCTC, as well as the Counseling Center, if anybody would like to try out both, including the Frederick News Post article. So if anybody would like to read more about the site. And I want to thank you both for your time. I really appreciate you guys talking to me and kind of sharing more about what NCTC is and the site itself for the students in the community.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much, Amnea.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to A Degree Further, the official podcast of the Graduate School at Hood College, where we help you go further in your life, in your career, and in your community. Be sure to tune in next time, and to catch up on all the latest episodes, visit hood.edu/a degree further. I'm your host, Amnea, and thank you for listening.